yeah, it's kind of a magnet for people that come like from all over the world to do and build something together. Yes, so my name is Onno Faber. I was grew up in the Netherlands, close to Utrecht. I've been an entrepreneur my entire life. I started my first company in high school in software development, and ultimately ended up here with a company in the video messaging space. And I was diagnosed with a rare disease about 10 years ago. So as I was moving here, I was losing my hearing on the left side, and it turned out I had several tumors in the brain and spinal cord. The cause of that is a genetic mutation. So that diagnosis actually led me to a path of like doing my own research, but also focusing my entrepreneurial attention in rare disease and therapeutic space. The second company, Rarebase, focused on therapeutic discovery. So I also came to realize, like, for most of these diseases, we don't actually have good ideas on how to potentially treat them. So yeah, I really wanted to do something in the therapeutics space, and also same idea, like there are thousands of different rare diseases. So how do you, instead of doing them all one by one, how do you build a system and a platform that can potentially tackle hundreds of them? So that's the impetus of Rarebase. With Rarebase, we focused on generating data from how the gene expression, the expression of our DNA changes when we add drugs to them. So in the lab, like, we were literally screening, we had a wet lab to screen thousands of different drugs, and for each of these drugs test the difference in gene expression among 20,000 genes. So it's a lot of data that you generate, but there are technically millions of compounds possible, right? So you cannot screen them all in the lab. So we build building a kind of virtual version of that lab based on the data we have to feed back into the hypotheses that can be screened in the lab. So that can be pretty significant too, basically broadening the scope of the work and the opportunity space. Across the field, it is likely going to have a huge impact in how we discover, develop therapies, and hopefully reduce the cost. Like there is an enormous failure rate. You start like in the lab, like doing preclinical research where you're already making a lot of assumptions, and then you're testing in other model systems, maybe human cells, maybe animal models, and then you start testing in humans in multiple phases. So each of these kind of phases in the process, you have a high failure rate. So can you predict better, like, what happens to this therapy? Like, ultimately you care about it having a beneficial effect for the human being, for the patient. So I think it's going to have very big consequences across the board. Yeah, it's kind of a magnet for people that come like from all over the world here to do and build something together. The other thing I would say is that there is an enormous focus here. So people that live here, they kind of live for their work. So, you know, it's that focus also kind of helps and attracts a certain type of people. That being said, I also think there is a lot of talent in other places in the world, and we are missing out on a lot of that talent too. And obviously everything here is very expensive and costly. So doing things overseas can also be hugely beneficial.